Hello, YNO family and people in the Charlotte area or anyone in the world where you're watching this. My name is Deanna Glenn and I interview artists in the Charlotte area. So I just wanted to give you a quick welcome to YNO Interviews. Our guest today is Master Kie. Master Kie is a digital artist. She does her own production. She's a very creative individual. And one thing I learned about her today is that her name is Kiera. And so if you follow her on Instagram, it's Unlock Her Sound. So Master Kie is not only short for Kiera, but it's also like a master key to unlocking her sound. I thought that was a really cool little Easter egg among the many she has. But today she's just going to be talking about some of the projects that she's done, some of her history as a person, and what she's got coming up. So enjoy the video. I hope that you enjoy the video as much as I enjoyed interviewing her. Welcome to YNO Interviews. Today we have a very special guest, Master Kie.
Hello,
Master Kie. We're going to learn more about the type of music that she makes and her career and how she got started. But first I just wanted to say that with your neighborhood orchestra, we've been playing her music and it's been so much fun. Everything that she's very creative with using technology and using all these instruments. So we're going to learn more about her process and hopefully more about her. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So when did you get started with making music? How did you know you wanted to be a musician, producer?
Well, first I started out singing. So I joined chorus in 8th grade, and I was always really shy.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually I did chorus all through high school, but I eventually taught myself because we had to read music.
Mm-hmm.
I used that to teach myself how to play piano. And I was like, I kind of like this better. I ain't gotta, sing in front of anybody and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I like this. And then I kind of started getting more into hip hop music and, came across Timberland. He was the first producer to really inspire me. And I was like, I really want to get into this. And I discovered a program on my mom's computer that allowed me to compose music. And I was like, I'm kind of good at this. So after I graduated, I moved to Charlotte. I went to UNCC, and there was a couple guys messing around with this program called Fruity Loops. And I was like, what's this? And so I downloaded it on my computer and played around with it. And I was like, this is way more easier than the program I used, back home. And I just kept playing and playing and playing, and I just, I would YouTube things and try to learn more about it and downloaded more, newer versions and all that stuff, and I just kind of got better over time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was so cool. So where is home for you? Where are you originally from?
Well, I'm originally from Jersey, but me and my mom moved to Georgia in '96, and then I came here in '03 for college because my dad was living in Charlotte, and I was like, I like it here. At least I can go somewhere new, and I kind of know some people. I know my dad, and I could kind of stay with him and get that in-state tuition.
Yeah.
And I had a couple friends here because I ran track in the summer. I would come here in the summer, and I ran track, so I kind of knew some people, and I felt comfortable making that move.
So could you tell me about your process and maybe some things that inspire you to make music?
A lot of times it's listening to other people and just listening to old school hip hop mostly because I'm just I really want to make sure, with all this new stuff going on, like I want to make sure we still are keeping track with the old.
Yeah.
um,
Like staying grounded with your
yeah,
time.
like exactly. And so, like I'll hear something, a certain sound, and I'll be like, I kind of want to recreate that, or I'll hear a song like that's maybe 20, 30 years old, and just want to sample it.
Yeah.
And just bring it back to life. So yeah. And a lot of times, I'm sorry. A lot of times I could be watching one of my shows and I'll hear something and I'll be like, ooh, it could be like the intro to a TV series, and I'll be like, I kind of like that, know.
So your creative process is pretty much like nonstop.
Yeah, like everywhere I go, like I'm like, I got Shazam on my phone, so if I don't recognize a song, I'll be like Shazam, and then I'll save it, and I'll go back later and sample it.
Yeah.
So
That's so cool. So, is music the only thing that you do, or are there other things that you are like creative in?
I used to dance, so at UNCC, before I really got into making beats, I was more into like dancing and running track. I also ran track for that first year, and then I hurt my knee and decided to focus more on dance, and so I actually have a minor in dance and theater. So it's like it's crazy because it's just everything I do has something to do with music.
Yeah.
So I think dancing has really helped me as far as like,
expressing yourself.
Yeah, and again, I didn't have to speak because I hate public speaking. But it also helped with recognizing music cues, and that's why like when I create a beat, I create it in like a certain way to where I know you could probably hear it in some of the stuff that y'all are playing too, where like I put certain cues in there so it's about to lead into something else. Like that comes from like just like my time.
Patterns that you
just from my time of dancing and being in chorus, like so.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
That's really, really interesting that you say that, because like playing your music, it makes a lot of sense. Like it's practical, but it's also like engaging and good. And I mean, of course, like it's a good product.
Thank you.
But it's always like a lot of fun to play. So what? Okay, so you still use Fruity Loops? Like, yes, I imagine like you're like just kind of like twisting all these knobs and doing all these things. Like, what is?
That's what everybody thinks, but it's like it's so much more simpler than that. Like, I don't even have like the fancy beat machine like some of the other producers have, and I'm just literally using my keyboard and mouse, and, like clicking on things and cutting things and chopping things up and just like going through my whole catalog trying to figure out what drums I want to use. Like it's very monotonous. Like people think it's so glorious to like make a beat, but it's like really just like click, click, click. So the first hour is me trying to figure out what instruments I want to use.
Okay.
So yeah.
What instruments do you usually like using?
I like to use a lot of kicks and a lot of bass and a lot of like pads and synthesizers. Like are my favorite. I used to do a lot with the piano, but I kind of like moved away from that. But I think I want to, start bringing that back. Like I love working with strings too. So, yeah.
And I want to know more about your your Cosmos Sapien and like the whole Stargazer track. So what was the inspiration behind that?
Well, I started out just wanting to do a project where it just was just gave you that feeling of being in outer space, just those kind of sounds. And while I was looking for things, like I go on YouTube to find things to sample illegally. But while I was doing that, that's when I came across the story of, the cosmonauts and how they were lost in space, and in particular, the female Ludmila, and her possibly being the first woman in space. And like a lot of people not realizing or even recognizing that, so it's kind of like, well, I want to tell her story. And nobody to this day, like nobody I've come across has heard of this. So it's kind of like, oh, I get to give everybody a history lesson, and I thought it was like a cool thing, so I went with it, and I created this whole 7-day journey, because they said she possibly was up there for a week. So that's why there's 7 tracks. And yeah.
So hold on, this may be a dumb question, but did she like come back down, or did they ever find her?
Well, that's what the last track, Un Signale, represents her. When she was coming back down, she was burning up, and that's when they discovered her signal, and they believe she was speaking Russian, of course, but they translated it to where she's like, I'm burning up, I'm hot, could someone help me? But when the spaceship got to Earth, it was all burnt up, but there was like nobody inside. And it's kind of like, well, they say that, but it's a lot of covering up that goes on.
Yeah.
In Russia. So yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, and I just, as a woman, I just really wanted to put that out there. And it wasn't right. If she did exist, it wasn't right for them to do that. It wasn't right for them to do that to any of the people that they send up there. But they're in such a, hurry to beat the U.S. and get as many people up there as possible and be the first to do, this and do that. It's just, they didn't care about anybody's life. So hopefully, if she did exist, hopefully, like, she's looking down in spirit, like, yay, they're telling my story.
Yeah. Where did you find that story?
On YouTube. So it's a lot of different, like, bloggers or vloggers that were, just telling the history of the whole space race in general. And that's, that was part of it. And they actually had a clip. If you listen to the B tape, there's a clip of her actually, saying, like, help me, I'm burning, So, yeah.
Wow, that is really incredible that, like, you found inspiration and you were able to just so clearly, like,
and then when I released it during Women's History Month, like, put on a light show and everything, so it kind of, like, it was just like perfect timing. And then for Liz to ask me to do Stargazer, it was like, well, I have a project that goes perfect for that. It's just like, and now we're like here, about to perform it again, and then we're gonna put on a big show for it. So it's like, I never thought it would become this.
Yeah.
But I'm happy. Yeah.
So would you, if you had the opportunity to go into space, are you taking the opportunity?
Oh no, man, I'm too scared. I'm just like, oh my god, like, there's so much that can go wrong. So
you'll send them up, be like, I have a good soundtrack for you, though.
Yeah, y'all can take that. Yep. I'll be with you in spirit. But yeah, a space is kind of like, oof, it's cool to learn about, but I don't know if I want to, like, be hands-on. Like, I'll let other people discover that. So yeah.
Definitely. And then you also have another project coming up. I think I see on your Instagram.
The Tones of Roy G. Biv.
Yeah.
So that's kind of another science lesson about, the spectrum of colors, the rainbow. So each, Roy G. Biv stands for red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. So, one's kind of, some people are like, who's Roy G. Biv? Like, are you collaborating with him now? Like, I'm like, oh. So I'm like, I feel like the only person who's ever heard of that. But yeah, I had to, like, teach a few people some things, and then Neil Tyson DeGrasse, he's like the man in the science field. And I actually came across a video where he was describing how we see rainbows, and he was saying that I didn't know this. So every rainbow that I see is not the same rainbow that you see, and because it's not an actual physical entity that like exists, like you can't move to another location and still see that rainbow. And I kind of want to use that idea of perception in a way, like normally with my beat tapes, it's kind of like this is what it's about, this is the story. But with this one, I wanted people to interpret it their own way and listen to this and listen to the music and be like, this is what red makes me feel like, and this is what orange makes me feel like. But I do have like a guide because I have my own interpretation, of course, and you can see it in the titles of the track. Like the first track is red lips sink ships. So red is usually like caution or danger or something, something like that. So that title for me means like when you're keeping a secret, like that's can possibly affect someone's life in a negative way, so that's what that means to me. But somebody else listening to it could think otherwise.
Right.
So I have like a whole guide that I'm gonna post tomorrow, actually, because it drops tomorrow, and it kind of will help people. It has like the positive and negative effects of each color and what each color represents, and people can look at that and be like, okay, well, this is what makes me think of, this is how it makes me feel. Because a lot of people don't realize that colors do make you feel a way. That's why some people are adamant about what color they paint their rooms and their houses.
Exactly. I was thinking about like the color red, and I was like, like a lot of people see like fire, anger, and like like or danger, but I'm like, well, what about like passion?
Yeah, and that's actually
and
one of them that's on there, like passion. So
passion and love, and I'm like, that's those are like really, really cool things, and I know that's like my personal thing. Like some people may see yellow and think like happy, but other people are like, ooh, it reminds me of bees, and bees sting. So it's just like,
so my yellow is actually called it's called Yellow Prick Road. So yellow can also represent egotism. So for me, that song represents someone with a big ego, hence the word prick. So
oh wow.
Yeah, so a lot of the colors are like, it's crazy because a lot of them I took from my own experiences, and so some of them are positive, but there are also some of them that use the negative aspects. I wanted to, do like you, and I didn't want to do the obvious. Like people are like, oh, blue, sad, but my blue in this project is actually happy. It's actually about loving someone. So
really excited about this color project, and really excited about like you reaching out with like with artists and like being able to inspire them. So do you have like any dream people that you want to like work with? Or
oh boy, it's a lot. Well, I'm a big Drake fan, so definitely him. I would love to Nas is back out there, so I would love to work with him. I would love to work with Rhapsody, of course. I would love to work with. I love Doja Cat, so
she's great.
Yeah,
she's really great.
Like, I don't like too many female rappers. Like, there's not too many that I like. They all kind of talk the same, and they talk about their vaginas a lot, and it's just like I don't want to hear that all the time. And I feel like with Doja and Rhapsody, like they add something different.
Absolutely.
Who else? There's a lot of like old school people that I would love to bring back out. Who else? Pretty much open to anybody. As long as they're like good people and don't have any like scandals out there. They're not like R. Kelly or something. You're not out here assaulting women or pretty much anybody who fits. Just like I'd be open to. So
Absolutely.
not too picky.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
And you mentioned like your womanhood and stuff like that. Has there been like adversity that you faced like um, in this industry, or is it just like everyone's like, well, like you're a woman, I really respect you?
For the most part, it's been like a lot of respect, but there's also like people who kind of underestimate me, and you know, they look at me, they're like, "What's she about to do?" And then when I do it, it's like. So I do like kind of blowing people's minds. So I like to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Because people kind of have their own perception, like, oh, she's a female, she's not gonna do, you know, it's not gonna sound great, blah blah blah. And I kind of like to change people's minds on that. So it's kind of like a shock to them.
This word is like me too.
Yeah, I'm like, I cannot figure out the word, but I think everybody knows what I mean. But yeah, for the most part, it's been like, because I'm a female, a lot of people want to help and support. So I appreciate that. I recently did it, like, because I also like to model, so I recently did a contest for that, and it was crazy how I didn't realize until I did that contest how many people supported me. So that really like showed me the light. So I appreciate everybody.
So how long have you been doing the music again? Like you said that you started in high school, but like seriously, like starting with production and stuff like that and putting things out.
Oh boy, probably 5 years ago, because before that it was just kind of for fun. And then I met Blues, and I did a mixtape, and it was beats, but it was like vocals on top of it. And I gave it to him, and he was like, well, I'm about to start this monthly show called Sound 16, you should bring some beats. And it wasn't until I played at his first show where I felt validated enough to where, like, oh, I could do this for real, make money, and, you know, work with people.
Yeah. So you now to you 5 years ago, like just starting out, like what is some advice? What would you tell yourself? What is some advice that you would give to yourself?
I say don't doubt yourself. Keep pushing. Don't let these men intimidate you. And just go for it. Because that's one of the things like I kind of wish I would have, like when I was in college and have care in the world and have no kids. Like I kind of wish I would have went harder, you know, while I was a little bit younger. But you know, it is what it is. Like I'm happy where I'm at now. So everything happens for a reason. So where I'm at now is where I'm supposed to be. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's gonna wrap things up.
Yay.
But Master Kie will be at the Bright Fire Music and Arts Festival this Saturday, April 30th. Do not miss her set. It's going to be amazing.
We go on 6:45. The doors open at 4, so make sure you get there early so you can take part in all the festivities. It's going to be a lot of food vendors out there, lots of arts and crafts, fairy garden, beer garden, like all that. Make sure you bring your fairy wings.
Well, this was really, really nice. Thank you so much for
asking.
Thank you for just being here and meeting with me and giving me the time today. Really appreciate it. It was really interesting, like just hearing like your thought process, your creative process, and everything that you're doing, and just like some history too. That was really nice.
That's what I do. But thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I love when people ask me for interviews, so I don't get many, so I really appreciate it.